Hello everyone, welcome back to Joe Consumes Cinema. I am your host, I will not fail you, Wolverines! And today we have a movie reaction to Good Night and Good Luck. Now this is a movie that I've been meaning to watch for a really long time now, and I just kind of never got around to doing it. I know it's about Edward R. Murrow, who was a newscaster in the 50s and 60s, and he had a public clash with, I believe, Congressman McCarthy, who was the chairman of the Committee on Un-American Activities. And this was kind of during the height of the Red Scare. So he went around accusing people of being communist. Some were not. And he was destroying people's lives. Like a lot of them just people he did not align with politically. It was just kind of a useful wedge he could use against his opponents. But yeah, it's like a particularly destructive form of politics. Self-defeating, really. But I'm pretty sure the movie will cover it better than I can. I only know like a cursory level of that history just from what I remember from high school and college. But yeah, so the movie is political and historical in nature. I don't know to what extent exactly. I would assume a lot. I don't know a ton about this movie. I think George Clooney is in it. I forget the lead actor's name, but you recognize his face. He's one of those actors where you recognize his face, and he's been in a bunch of stuff. I just always forget his name. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. So I just like to remind everybody to blank, blank, and blank. Trying to get more traction for the channel. We're getting a lot of views, but we could use some more subscribers, more likes, etc. Any help you give me there is always much appreciated. And with that, let's get right to it. Seeing a lot of recognizable faces.
He threw stones at giants. Segregation, exploitation of migrant workers, apartheid, J. Edgar Hoover, not the least of which his historical fight with Senator McCarthy.
Senator McCarthy.
It's made to be broken.
You can afford to say that.
Okay, so they're all a press team for Edward R. Murrow.
Let me see this.
It's simply a loyalty oath.
To CBS?
And to America.
You promise to be a loyal American?
All the reporters have signed this.
Who are you promising this to?
Fred signed it.
CBS?
Murrow signed
Haley?
it. Murrow signed it.
Murrow signed it? Are you now, or have you ever
I thought it
been
was a joke at first, but there's a lot
that
of pressure.
appeared on the Attorney General's list of subversive
I don't know.
groups?
I don't.
All right, let's think about it. What is it really saying? Is it a civil liberties issue or
I'm simply stating to
censorship?
CBS that I'm not a communist. That's
Murrow
fine.
signed this?
Yeah, and Fred and Stan.
Maybe you should talk to Murrow.
Maybe I should sign it.
If you don't sign this, are you and I a target?
Yeah,
If I don't sign it, they'll fire me.
that too.
Kid named Milo Radulovich.
Italian?
Irish. Air Force kicked him out because his dad read some Serbian newspaper.
His dad a communist?
I don't know.
Who brought the charges?
Air Force. Charges were in a sealed envelope. Nobody saw them.
Not even at the hearing?
He was declared guilty without a trial and told if he wanted to keep his job, he had to denounce his father and his sister. Thank you, Natalie.
His sister?
He told them to take a hike. Let's send Joe and Charlie down there, see if he's any good on camera.
Is he being brought before the committee?
No.
That's not McCarthy.
Isn't it?
Milo Radulovich.
It's a pretty ridiculous story. His dad read a newspaper, so he has to denounce his father.
Yes, if I am being judged on my relatives, if are my children going to be asked to denounce me? Are they going to be judged on what their father was labeled? Are they
Yeah,
going
it's
to,
it's absurd.
I've searched my conscience, and I can't for the life of me find any justification for this. And I simply cannot accept that there are, on every story, two equal and logical sides to an argument. Call it editorializing if you'd like.
It is editorializing.
They're going to have equal
Period.
time to defend themselves.
Do you understand the position you're putting us in?
We are all in this together. If the Senate wants to
Do
investigate...
me this favor, Fred. Avoid any big speeches about how we're all in a big boat together, okay? Please don't insult me. I have to go back to Mr. Paley and Alcoa, who sponsors your show, and also happens to have some military contracts, and I have to tell them that they're going to be in a bit of a tough bind because of a beef you had with Joe McCarthy.
We're not going at McCarthy.
Well, you're starting the goddamn fight.
Our show airs tomorrow. How can we possibly approve and check the story that you are running in the limited amount of time you have given us?
With all due respect, you have been invited to participate in this piece, not to approve this piece. We are going with a story that says that the U.S. Air Force tried Milo Radulovich without one shred of evidence and found him guilty of being a security risk without his
And
constitutional
you, who
right.
also have not seen the evidence, are claiming he's not a security risk. Wouldn't you guess that the people who have seen the contents of that envelope might have a better idea of what makes someone a danger to his country? Or do you think it should just be you that decides?
Who are the people? Are they elected? Are they appointed? Do they have an axe to grind? Is it you, sir, or you, Colonel Jenkins? Do you know the contents of that sealed envelope?
Mr. Friendly, we have been a friend and ally of both Mr. Murrow and CBS News for many years. The story you are going to run tomorrow is without merit. So before you take any steps that cannot be undone, I strongly urge you to reconsider your stand.
We have told the Air Force that we will provide facilities for any comment, criticism, or corrections it may wish to make in regard to the case of Milo Radulovich. We are unable to judge the charges against the lieutenant's father or sister because neither we, nor you, nor they, nor the lawyers, nor the lieutenant know precisely what was contained in that manila envelope. Was it hearsay, rumor, gossip, slander, or hard ascertainable facts that could be backed by credible witnesses? We do not know.
Opening up a big can of worms. Obviously, McCarthy is going to target him and everyone in this room, really, and they know it.
Read the O'Brien piece.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm a pinko. I slant the news. I'm just waiting for him to say my wife left me, too.
Nobody worth their salt reads him.
Opposition gets labeled as communist, even if they are or not.
In short, Murrow's been a communist sympathizer since the 1930s. Remember, the international workers sponsored educational trips to Moscow and on the Soviet payroll in 1935. It's all there.
You want to know why that's not possible? Why you'll lose this one, Donald? Because everyone in this country knows Admiral is a loyal American's patriot.
Yeah, they're attempting to blackmail him to get them to back off.
I'm responsible for a hell of a lot more than 5 goddamn reporters. Let it go. McCarthy will self-destruct. Calm all of them.
Bill, you said corporate would not interfere with editorial and that the news was to be left to our
We don't
own...
make the news. We report the news.
99% of the time he's wrong about the people he's
If he
marked
goes
as
too
communists.
far, the Senate will investigate him, and we will report on that.
But he's wrong 100% of the time when he oversteps
And
people's
what are
civil
you doing?
liberties.
You're trying him in the press. Does he get the right to face his accuser? Ed, you've just decided on this, and now you're presenting
What
it as
I am
fact.
doing, Bill.
I write your check. I put you in your country house, and I put your son through school. You should have told me about this before it went so far down the road.
Yeah, everybody has a weakness.
If any of you have any connection at all, if you subscribe to a newsletter, if you attended a party, anything that could compromise this, anything at all, because now would be the time to tell us.
Ed, I think I should excuse myself.
Palmer, kid.
My ex was, I wouldn't say she was a communist, but she certainly attended meetings. Before we were married, I didn't even really know about it until after the divorce. It was different then. We were all on the same side. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. The thing of it is, somebody will find out. They'll hurt us with it.
None of us had ever read a dangerous book or had a friend who was different or never joined an organization that advocated change. We'd all be just the kind of people Joe McCarthy wants.
Yeah, that's kind of the point behind the whole thing.
Because the terror is right here in this room.
Doesn't want people thinking outside the box. It's a form of thought control. You just intimidate people.
On one thing, the senator has been consistent. Often operating as a one-man committee, he has traveled far, interviewed many, terrorized some, accused civilian and military leaders of the past administration of a great conspiracy to turn over the country to communism. The line between investigating and persecuting is a very fine one, and the junior senator from Wisconsin has stepped over it repeatedly. We must not confuse dissent with disloyalty. We must remember always that accusation is not proof, and that conviction depends upon evidence and due process of law. We will not walk in fear one of another. We will not be driven by fear into an age of unreason if we dig deep in our history and our doctrine, and remember that we are not descended from fearful men, not from men who feared to write, to associate, to speak, and to defend the causes that were for the moment unpopular. This is no time for men who oppose Senator McCarthy's methods to keep silent, or for those who approve. He didn't create this situation of fear. He merely exploited it, and rather successfully.
Yep.
I have decided that it is consistent with the interest of the national security to retain Lieutenant Radulovich in the United States Air Force. Stop. He is not, in my opinion, a security risk. Full stop.
Good stuff.
There you go.
So the airman that was falsely accused of being a communist has been reinstated. McCarthy's probably going to flip.
She's a communist I want her exposed. But to make these statements, we've got corroborating evidence that she is a communist. Under these circumstances, I think she's entitled to have it produced here in her presence and let the public know about it and let her know about it. I don't think it's fair to a witness, to a citizen of this country, to bring them up here and cross-examine them, then when they get through say, we've got something, the FBI has got something on you that condemns you. It is not sworn testimony, it's convicting people by rumor and hearsay and innuendo.
You will notice that neither Senator McClellan or Senator Symington nor this reporter know or claim that Mrs. Moss was or is a communist. Their claim was simply that she had the right to meet her accusers face to face. Anyone who criticizes or opposes Senator McCarthy's methods must be a communist. And if that be true, there are an awful lot of communists in this country. That mature Americans can engage in conversation and controversy, the clash of ideas, with communists anywhere in the world without becoming contaminated or converted.
The Army's charging that McCarthy and Cohn exercised undue pressure to get preferential treatment for Shine. I talked to Crichton down at the Sun. He's unimpeachable. You have a second source? There's not a second source, but this is coming out on the wire in 2 hours.
They don't want a civics lesson.
What do you want, Bill?
I don't want to get a constant stomachache every time you take on a controversial subject.
I'm afraid that's the price you have to be willing to pay. This instrument can teach. It can illuminate, and yes, it can even inspire. But it can do so only to the extent that humans are determined to use it towards those ends. Otherwise, it is merely wires and lights in a box. Good night, and good luck.
Okay, it took some time to gather my thoughts. Decent movie. Very dry content, and even though the movie was relatively short, it was under 90 minutes, I felt like there's sections of it that could have even been edited down further. Like, it had this habit of having an event happening and then having a almost musical intermission. They did it like 3 or 4 times, and you know, you add those up and that's like 20 minutes. So this movie could have been just barely over an hour, honestly. It's just like a mini movie, really. But I still feel like it's important subject matter to cover because a lot of it's applicable to today. One of the commentaries the movie is clearly making is on, you know, today's network broadcasting, corporate media, and how they're beholden to, you know, moneyed interest, how that influences what gets reported, you know, shying away from controversial things. But the overall point is pretty strong. You know, McCarthyism's brand of politics is self-destructive. You saw how, you know, people got divorced who were accused, people got harassed, threatened with violence. Even, you know, in the one case, that one news reporter ended up taking his own life because he kept getting attacked over and over again in the newspapers and on television, just because he had the, you know, the audacity to agree with Murrow, and he was already, there had already been a backstory where he had been labeled a, you know, communist. I don't think he actually was. He just maybe attended one meeting or something, like at one off point. But, you know, stuff like that. Any small association. The one guy was talking about how his ex-wife once attended a meeting before they ever knew each other, and that could potentially be used against Murrow's team because he was on Murrow's press team. So yeah, it's just an insipid form of politics, and yeah, it's a good thing that he went down for sure. Ultimately, what did him in was when he started attacking, members of the military. That's when the government started standing up to him, and he got investigated himself and could dish it out, but couldn't withstand the fire himself. So, yeah, like, decent movie, but short and dry is how I would describe it. So, I like some of the performances, but nothing real heavy hitting. I did like the message though. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. So thanks for watching, and